Jack, The Last Heir of the Stars, Chapter 5. The Ghost Signal, Part 1. The voice that shouldn't exist. Jack. The whisper drifted through absolute darkness, weak, broken, almost erased by static. Jack stopped breathing. He knew that voice. It belonged to someone who had died 34 years ago. Don't trust the architects. The transmission vanished. Silence swallowed everything. 1 hour earlier. Jack opened his eyes with a violent gasp. His lungs burned, as if he had just survived drowning. The impossible fracture in space. The ancient eyes. The blinding white light. He remembered all of it. Slowly, he sat up. This wasn't the Erebus. The room round him seemed carved from living crystal. White walls shimmered like liquid glass, flowing whenever he looked away. Thousands of tiny blue veins pulsed beneath the floor, as though an entire galaxy flowed beneath his feet. There were no doors, no windows, no shadows, only silence. Then a calm voice broke it. "You are awake." Jack spun instantly. His hand reached for his pulse rifle. Nothing. His combat knife. Gone. His scanner. Gone. Only one object remained. The Arcadian medallion. Its blue light pulsed once, then again, as if it had a heartbeat. The walls rippled. 3 figures stepped out of solid crystal without making a sound. The architects. They watched him with unreadable expressions. "You took my weapons." "We did." "Why?" "Because steel cannot protect you from what exists here." Jack's eyes never left them. "And who protects me from you?" For a moment, none of the architects answered. Then the eldest finally spoke. "If we intended to harm you, you would never have awakened." Jack didn't move. Neither did they. Only the blue light beneath the floor continued its slow pulse, almost like a countdown. The numbers refused to stop. They echoed through the chamber. Again, and again, and again. 17, 4, 92. The sequence repeated with mechanical precision, as if something far beyond the architects was forcing reality itself to remember. Jack stared at the floating symbols. His heartbeat slowed. He had seen numbers like these before, not the sequence itself, but the pattern. Years ago, aboard the Erebus, every deep space navigator learned that pattern during military training. It wasn't a distress code. It wasn't an encryption key. It was older, much older. The celestial grid. Jack whispered. The architects looked at him instantly. "You recognize it?" Jack frowned. "Only fragments. My instructor said the grid was just an abandoned navigation system built by an unknown civilization." The oldest architect closed his eyes. No. The single word carried an unexpected weight. The celestial grid was never built. Jack looked confused. "What do you mean?" "It was discovered." Silence. Even the living walls seemed to stop breathing. The architect continued. "It already existed before the first stars were born." Jack felt a chill run through his body. "That's impossible." "So is your medallion." No one spoke. The blue crystal beneath the floor slowly dimmed. Suddenly, one of the younger architects stepped forward. His voice trembled. "The coordinates. They are opening." Jack looked at him. "Opening what?" The architect didn't answer. Instead, he pointed toward the center of the chamber. The crystal floor cracked. Not from force. From light. Thin golden lines spread in every direction, weaving together like an enormous web. Stars appeared beneath their feet. Thousands. Millions. Entire galaxies unfolded across the floor. Jack wasn't looking at a map. He was standing inside one. Every star shimmered with soft blue light. Except one. Far beyond the known galaxies. A single point burned crimson. The same 16 numbers flashed above it. Again. 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 The chamber suddenly shook. For the first time, the architects lost their composure. One dropped to one knee. Another whispered a phrase in an ancient language Jack had never heard before. Then, a voice echoed through the chamber. It wasn't the woman's voice. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't even human. It sounded immense, as if countless voices were speaking together. "Access acknowledged." Everything froze. The red star pulsed once, then disappeared. The map collapsed into darkness. Silence returned. Jack looked around. What just happened? No one answered. The oldest architect stared at the empty space where the red star had been. His face had changed. For the first time, Jack saw genuine fear. The architect spoke almost in a whisper. We were wrong. Jack stepped closer. About what? The architect slowly raised his eyes. We believed the gate had remained sealed. A long silence followed. Then he finished the sentence that none of them had dared to say. Someone has just opened it. Silence filled the chamber. No one moved. The architect stood motionless, their eyes fixed on the place where the crimson star had vanished. Jack broke the silence. What is the gate? No one answered. He took another step forward. You've been telling me fragments of the truth since the day we met. His voice hardened. No more riddles. The eldest architects slowly turned toward him. There are truths that shape civilizations. He paused. And there are truths that erase them. Jack folded his arms. Try me. The architect closed his eyes for a moment, as though choosing words that had not been spoken in millions of years. You believe the universe began with the first light? Jack nodded. Every civilization does. The architect looked directly at him. Every civilization is wrong. A deep vibration rolled through the chamber. The crystal walls shimmered. For a heartbeat, the room disappeared. Jack found himself standing beneath an impossible sky. There were no stars, only colossal rings of pale light stretching across endless darkness. Each ring was larger than entire galaxies, slowly rotating, silent, ancient. Then he saw them, gigantic structures floating between the rings. Not planets, not stations, something far older. Their surfaces were covered in symbols that hurt his eyes whenever he tried to focus. What are those? Jack whispered. The architect answered without looking at him. They existed before matter. Jack stared. That's impossible. So is everything you have witnessed since touching the heart. One of the rings suddenly pulsed. The vibration passed through Jack's body. His medallion answered. Blue light burst from its center. The chamber reacted instantly. Thousands of glowing symbols erupted across the floor. Every architect stepped back. One of them spoke in fear. The resonance. It has begun. Jack looked down. The medallion was no longer simply glowing. It was unfolding. Thin streams of blue energy drifted outward like branches of living light, weaving together into a floating three-dimensional map. Stars appeared. Nebulae. Galaxies. Then, entire regions vanished, one after another, as if someone had erased them from existence. Jack watched in horror. What am I seeing? The eldest architect answered quietly. The future. Jack felt the air leave his lungs. No. One possible future. The map continued changing. Civilizations blinked out like dying embers. Worlds collapsed into darkness. The crimson point appeared once more. This time, it was moving. Not through space. Toward them. Every second, it crossed impossible distances, closing the gap. Faster. Closer. The younger architect whispered with trembling lips. It knows where we are. The room shook violently. A deafening crack echoed across the crystal chamber. For the first time since Jack had entered this place, the walls began to break. Not from the outside. From within. A single fracture spread across the crystal ceiling. Then another. And another. Through the widening cracks, Jack saw something looking back. Not a face. Not a ship. Not a creature. A single enormous eye. Ancient beyond comprehension. Its golden iris slowly contracted, as if it had finally found what it had been searching for. Every light inside the chamber died. Darkness swallowed everything. Then, a voice echoed from every direction at once. Cold, calm, unavoidable. The last air has been located. The eye closed. The cracks vanished. The chamber returned to normal. But no one spoke, because every person in that room understood the same terrifying truth. They had not discovered the enemy. The enemy had discovered them.